Yo, my villains are the village. What is good? It's your boy Bill, and today we're going to be reacting to something insane. So it's titled, I Reanimated Anime's Worst Fight Scene. Okay, and I think you can go ahead and take a guess on what series this is. It's definitely a 7 Deadly Sins reference, okay? It was so hyped up, bro, and then they just killed off the series with that terrible animation, which is sad because I actually really enjoyed 7 Deadly Sins, okay? So, yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video, all right? Also, leave a like and subscribe, bro. Look, like, I shouldn't have to ask that this early, but I would appreciate it if y'all did because we, y'all be watching, but y'all not subscribing. Like, what's up with that? Anyways, let's go ahead and get into it, man. Oh, my God.
Anime, one of the most disappointing.
Also, let me say this right now. I don't want to watch the whole video because obviously this man is putting in a lot of work. So we'll watch a little, a little bit of the animated fight itself. We'll watch the process. I just spit everywhere. We'll watch the process, but I'm not going to spoil this man's whole video. All right, make sure y'all go ahead and watch. I will put it in the description.
Pointing fight scenes in all of anime. Escanor versus
7 Deadly Frames.
Meliodas,
yes.
From 7 Deadly Sins.
I do want to check my audio level real quick. Everything looks good. Okay. See, like, what was that? What is that, bro?
That's a sneak peek of what's to come. I'm gonna take you, yes you, through my process on how I made this 16-cut animation by myself. You're not gonna...
Shout out to this guy, by the way. Buddy, all right. 608,000 views in 3 days.
For context, this
That's how bad people wanted to see this.
Moment, and when the anime episode came out, it was so bad. Like, look at fans of the series in shambles.
No, bro, this is not cool, bro.
What he's saying.
What is this?
Before starting the process of my
everybody was asking the exact same thing. What happened to my goat?
Reanimation, I skimmed through the manga chapter of the fight and I was shocked to find out how different it was from the show. I could feel as if the mangaka had a specific vision.
Like, look at the artwork. Look at the artwork. Look at the way Escanor looked right there, bro.
I could feel as if the...
Look at Escanor. You're telling me that they decided to draw him like that in here and then they went into the manga, or not the manga, they went to that series? Jesus, I am talking like crap right now. They went to that season and drew absolute trash.
Mangaka had a specific vision of how the fight would flow when animated, and the anime really did not deliver at all. So I had the bright...
This looks like something somebody could have made on Pixel.
Reanimating the scene as closely to the manga as possible. I knew that going into this, it was for sure going to be my most challenging animation that I've done to...
But hold on, was that dog nigga?
It's a fight scene that's going to... animation that I knew that going into this, it was for sure going to be my most challenging...
What's that dog?
Animation that I've done to date, since, it's a fight scene that's...
That guts was tough.
Gonna require a solid amount of drawings, but thankfully I had some ideas that could potentially...
I'm gonna try not to pause too much.
Because, I want to make it good, but I also don't want to spend 30 decades on it. I kind of have a YouTube channel to run here. To start this project off, I decided to put together a reference board of both the characters that are featured in this scene.
My fault. That background beat kind of go crazy.
Meliodas and Escanor. I also placed a couple of images of their weapons, different angles of their faces, and even Meliodas' tattoo on the board. I then lined up images of the anime scene and the manga scene so that I could get a more clear view of the layout that I was gonna go for when I start sketching out the storyboard.
So I'm assuming this is what animators do typically, right? Like, they have to go over and do anime, or not the anime, the manga. They reference the manga, and they start storyboarding, and of course they also have to get the pictures and everything. Okay.
These boards are gonna help me draw the characters more accurately.
Why my man hold a flip-flop instead of a mic?
And more consistently for the 7 Deadly Sins Bunny Studios edition. Then I decided it would be a good idea to try drawing both Escanor and Meliodas' faces for the first time to get a hang of what they're gonna look like, more or less.
Also, I do want to say, I know that some people hate when you talk over the video, but it's a long video, so I'm not gonna pause every single time I talk.
And to also get myself warmed up. So I did notice
you want to make sure that's clear.
Is like a little rounder than normal. I couldn't find like any character sheet of Meliodas in this form, so I kind of just have to go by the manga and the anime in order to get it as accurate as possible. After I drew up Meliodas, I got ready to practice drawing Escanor's face.
Gosh damn ads.
You're watching a toothbrush play.
We gotta talk over because I don't want Billie Eilish to get no money off of me.
So far,
see, YouTube, I need my money. I don't use ad blocker.
Pretty accurate to what I'm gonna do for the rest of the animation. Now what I'm gonna do is go ahead and render it and try and figure out the colors for the characters and more or less get an idea of what exactly the final product is gonna look like.
Bro, I wish I had the skills to be able to do this type of stuff, man. But for one, I don't have the patience nor the steady hand, nor do I think I'm just creative enough to actually animate. Or I can't even draw, let alone animate.
Looking a little bit, hello, this is not working. I'm gonna quickly draw Escanor now.
Man, if it's starting to tweak out. That's literally me when I'm editing and my
The
shit
last
just
thing I was
like
missing
starts
was a
tripping.
solid reference for the background of the scene, so I sent some pictures of the anime to my friend with benefits to cook up a CGI background, and he said, anything for you, just say the word. Bro got me blushing and shit. So
Yo, actual freaking idiots, bro. That's all it is when you talk to the
we'll
boys.
come back to that later when he's done cooking. In the meantime, now that I have all the references of the characters
That's really
that I
how it
need, and
is,
I also
bro.
got warmed up, it's time to start working on the storyboard of the fight.
That hand
To make
rub,
the
you know you about to
storyboard,
cook.
I looked through both the manga panels and the anime and sketched out the keyframes in a way that's more faithful to the source material. This process helped me visualize the flow of the animation and plan out the transitions between the scenes. Also, this time around, I decided that instead of making extremely rough sketches to help me come up with an idea for what I wanted the final cut to look like, I would try to make the sketches and the storyboard the actual sketches of the cuts, meaning that
Okay, I understand what he's getting at now. I understand. Okay, I was just sitting there listening real quick. I know I wasn't talking. I just wanted to understand what he was trying to
I
say.
made them a lot more accurate and exactly as I
Because keep in mind, I'm just as lost as most of you guys are on how animation is. Never all that behind, behind the
wanted it
scenes.
to look in the final product. This is in hopes that it was going to save me a good chunk of time and a lot of headaches.
Like, I understand
let's
the
see if
basic
it
behind the
actually helps
scenes,
or
but
not. After I
I
finished
don't know
drawing up the storyboard, I took a step back to see if the scenes flowed well. Not gonna lie,
Yeah.
I was kind of just admiring my own work for a while. However,
Valid, because it looks great.
I knew that the real challenge was still ahead. So without dwelling too much on what is yet to come, I moved on to the animation process. The first cut
I feel like this
features
is gonna be the hardest
Meliodas
part.
looking up at Escanor, and he tells him that he's in a bad mood. Thanks to the storyboard sketch being exactly what I wanted the final cut to look like, I wasted no time and got straight to the line art portion of the process off rip. I started off by doing the line art of the static elements of the shot first. This was basically everything that didn't include the mouth, chin, neck, and the eye.
I was about to ask him to put it in English, but now I understand, all right? It wasn't until he got rid of that other part. I'm like, okay, never mind. Because I know what line work is, but I didn't understand the full concept, but now I'm getting
I
it. Now
then
I'm getting it.
proceeded to animate the most basic blink in all of existence, but it gets the job done well. Next, I animated him speaking, which was done by animating his mouth opening and closing in a simple pattern. This basic animation technique gives the illusion of speech without the complexity of full lip syncing. Cut 2 features Escanor looking down to Meliodas, and he's telling
that's
him
fair.
that he is in a great mood, unlike Meliodas, who is in a horrible mood. I'm not gonna lie, this cut straight up followed the same process as the last one, so I'm not gonna bore you with all the details. I will say though, in my own humble opinion, the colors and just the drawings in general look pretty cool. I really like how both
I mean, hey, just based off of that, this already has more frames than the original anime. Okay, so I'm just saying that thing bro's doing just fine.
these cuts turned out in the end. In cut 3, Escanor is talking a ton of shit about how this is a golden opportunity to prove that he's better than Meliodas. This cut is not gonna have any movement at all in terms of animation. All I really needed to do was draw the characters in a still frame, and even with such a simple task, my brain-rotted brain decided to take over and draw his axe backwards for some reason, and I only noticed right after I started compositing this shot like 3 weeks later. The only
You know what, bro? I completely understand. That'd be the worst when you're like right at the end, about to finish up something, then you realize you messed it up. Because I don't think people understand. It's the same with editing. You could do all that stuff, but then once you get to the end, if you go back and try to fix something, it'll mess up the whole project. It'll take hours going back just to double check and make sure everything else is fine.
only movement this cut was gonna have is the little animation of the cube and the clouds moving from the wind, but that's all gonna be done later in compositing. Cut 4 and cut 5 were the next 2 cuts I had to animate. These scenes feature Escanor and Meliodas gripping their weapons as they're getting ready to clash. Since these 2 cuts are basically identical in animation, I'm gonna quickly go over them. The idea was to make very detailed and accurate drawings of their weapons, and to have the shots be more of a close-up in contrast to what the anime went for. For the gripping animation, I wanted to make sure that you could see the movement, but I didn't want it to be too exaggerated. Just simple ease timing with solid hand drawings, which I have very much struggled with in the past, but I surprisingly did not have a hard time this time around. Am I improving, chat? Either way, I believe these 2 cuts came
This guy is low-key brain rotted as hell. Like, I know he said it earlier, but the way he's talking, it's just giving off massive brain rot.
phenomenal and came out just how I imagined it in my head. Cut 6 is up next, which means it's actually time to get into more complex animation cuts for this project. In this cut, Escanor is gonna swing up his axe to charge up for an attack on Meliodas. Essentially, my vision was for this cut to be smoothly animated on once, which I never do. My idea was Escanor quickly swinging up his
I think it's crazy, by the way, how that man Escanor really is boxing with Meliodas. Like, like if you think about it, that's really insane.
acts in the beginning, and then it turns into more of a slow motion type shot. Due to me wanting to make this cut in once, I was gonna need to make a ton of in-between drawings. So was I gonna do that? Of course not. I had recently heard of this animation software called Kakani. This is not sponsored, by the way, don't click off. I genuinely tried this. The main feature that enticed me to give Kakani a shot was the automatic in-between generator the app offered, where it basically creates in-between frames for you. I'm pretty sure this is all vector based, so it doesn't use AI, but I'm not 100% sure. It apparently also lets you adjust the easing and stuff, which looks pretty cool. Since I'm doing this cut in once, this is a perfect opportunity for me to try out Kakani, since I don't want to use up 40 hours of my week drawing in between. So I started off by sketching out the animation and movement and timing. Who wants to sit there and,
who wants to sit there and waste? Well, I can't say waste because he's gonna make his money. He's made his money back and some. But who wants to sit there and, I guess technically still waste 40 hours of their life,
on
doing
Clip Studio Paint, and I exported it as a PNG sequence and imported it into Kakani.
Just
and
frame
honestly,
by frame.
as I used it for a bit, it was actually extremely confusing. I had to basically draw the strokes in the same exact order from the previous frames in order for the program to be able to generate the in-betweens properly. And it's not just the order, you also have to get it in the same direction, in the same way. So it was honestly pretty annoying, I'm not gonna lie to you. But after some time of going through the struggle, it was time to generate the in-between frames.
I feel like it was probably just really annoying because of your first time using it.
It's actually pretty cool. Wow. It's not 100% perfect, but it actually did such a good job. I'm very impressed. I then exported every frame as a PNG sequence and then imported it back into Clip Studio Paint for coloring. Since this is animated in once, there was no way in hell I was gonna go frame by frame and shade everything myself. So I imported it into After Effects to see if I could find some layer styles that could add some simple shading or something. And this is what I was able to cook up. It doesn't look half bad. It looks kind of Disney-like, but I kind of like that. So I guess this works.
Honestly,
something
it's
you
not
guys
terrible.
should know about me, I think in full color, and I'm able to visualize exactly what I want to make before I make it. So when I'm in the shower, I get tons of ideas of how I should.
Shower thoughts hit different, all right? First and foremost. And secondly, this is what I mean by saying I couldn't be an artist. I can't visualize the colors. Same way that I'm like, when I read a book, I can't imagine a certain character's voice. That's why I prefer anime over manga in terms of my format for enjoying the media.
Do certain creative things, and when working on this project, it was no different. I tried visualizing cut 7 the way I had planned it on the storyboard, like with the hair waving fast, the pan down, but I just could not see the vision. In fact, I had a completely different idea in mind. Instead of the shot featuring a standard pan down, I'm laying it out to be a wide angle shot featuring a quick, then slow motion attack, and then the impact. It's kind of hard to explain, so you guys will just see in a second. I started off by sketching the rough animation.
No, okay, I think I understand. So like, it's gonna be like super fast, right? Then right before the impact, it's gonna slow down, and then boom, the impact frames. So I think I understand what you get at.
Just like in the last cut, and I also added in some pretty fire looking impact frames. Nice. Then I imported everything into Kakani again, and man, things did not go as planned. The software was supposed to make things easier for me, but it really made things a lot worse. Following the strokes in order from the previous drawing was a huge headache, especially
it's gonna be worse before it gets better because he's still trying to learn how to use it. That's just how it is.
Draining as hell, the drawings looked wonky, and I found myself redrawing the keyframes over and over again more times than I needed to, which led to me wasting a ton of time. There were barely any tutorials on YouTube on how to use this program, so like the only way to figure out what I needed to know was through their manual, which I really did not have the patience to read through. I'm sure the app is great, but it really just isn't for me. So after what felt like forever, I looked at the progress I had made and I did not like it at all. I ended up deleting Kakani from my computer and throwing it into fire. I'm just kidding, don't sue me, and ended up going back to the software that I knew best, Clip Studio Paint.
See, I'm telling you, man, the difference is he just doesn't have the experience using Kakani yet. He just have to dedicate some time and just going into it, and just figuring it out.
Man,
it ain't easy using a new software, bro.
Right now, I can't lie to you. This animation has really taken a toll on me, especially with the standards that I set for myself and how fast I want to get things done.
I also want to throw it out there. I think it's crazy my man's going around with a knitted buddy ski. All right, just
I have a YouTube channel to run, and I need to upload at least not once a year. You know what I'm saying? I'm just telling myself this, but you sort of just have to keep on pushing because things are not really as serious as we make it in our heads. Like we really are just on a floating.
My man is going through so much.
Floating rock just there with the sun.
He's going through so much. He had to go out and explore.
It just keeps going. It doesn't end. It never ends.
And reevaluate his life.
Planets and galaxies and the universe, multiple universes. It just never ends. Like we're just an atom in the grand scheme of things. So.
Yo, you know how difficult and insane this man must be going insane. Because whenever you get to this point, we're talking about we're just atoms in the universe. It's over.
Really gotta take it easy, man. Really
you
gotta take
went
it
through
easy.
something. Oh my God, YouTube, get out of here with the ads. I'm about to put the ad blocker, bro.
I then got
I'm
back to
trying to watch
work
the
after
video.
my 4th existential crisis of the week. The liner and drawing process felt way faster in Clip Studio Paint. Everything just looked way better. I had to do it all by hand, but at least I knew what I was doing. You know what I'm saying? In the end, this cut took a whole 2 days of hard work to finish. It really wasn't fun at all, but at the very least, the final product looks pretty cool. Next up is cut 8. This cut doesn't have any 2D animation, just my drawn 2D background and the cube drawing. This cut is mainly gonna emphasize the impact of Escanor clashing with Meliodas. I'll create all the impact in After Effects and revisit the shot later during the background creation portion of this project. So I quickly moved on to cut 9. After the impact, it's gonna cut to Meliodas, who
So what he's getting at right there is he's saying that's the easier part. That's what I'm picking up, all right? To put it in basic language for us regular ningen.
is completely unfazed. This cut is gonna start with him staring directly at the camera with his hair whipping around from the impact, no drizzy, and gradually slowing down.
My boy should say no drizzy. Hold on.
Directly at the camera with his hair whipping around from the impact, no drizzy, and gradually slowing down. He then
There's
starts
no
talking
need for
that
that,
shit.
bro.
Next, I needed to figure out how to make it look like he's holding off Escanor with a sword. So I decided to
That's
draw his
so
hand
deep.
and sword separately in a new project file and then add a shake effect in post, which is gonna give it the effect that we want. For cut 10, I'm gonna animate Escanor's mouth open.
That looked really good, by the way. That
Shake
wavy
effect
hair.
in post, which is gonna give it the effect that we want. For
That looked really
cut
good.
10, I'm gonna animate Escanor's mouth opening and closing because he is laughing in Meliodas' face. My original plan was to have him open his eyes in this cut, but after pacing around my house like usual, thinking of ideas and whatnot, I realized that it would be way cooler to do a close-up shot of his eye opening, which is gonna perfectly transition to the next cut. I sort of just drew the
It's gonna be like
eyeball
the
in one
laughing and then the
shot,
eye
put it
opening
in the
right after.
bottom layer, and just animated his eyelids opening in a very nice, smooth way. I'm really proud of how
I
this
really
shot
like the way that
Now,
came
cut
out.
11 is
That
gonna
looks
feature
really nice.
Escanor quickly slashing at Meliodas. In the anime, it felt a lot slower than what the manga.
You see that right there? That's why people were calling it 7 deadly frames. Because it does not look, it doesn't look good, bro. It looks like it's like 12 frames. No joke. It looks slow but fast at the same time.
It's gonna feature
Like, go
Escanor
back- go
quickly
back and look at
slashing at
this.
Meliodas. In the anime, it
Look, it looks like he can't handle his own axe. Like it's too heavy for him. But it's not. It's Escanor. You see that man chop somebody in half immediately. At the speed of sound, bro. Like speed of light.
felt a lot slower than what the manga intended it, in my opinion.
Like, what?
As you
Yeah,
can
like,
see,
what
there's
is that?
quite a big difference in overall energy. You know, since this cut is gonna be pretty fast, it's gonna go like definitely gonna have to have like a frame where Escanor is like his body's like moved like over.
You see how
here,
my
which I have some variety, but overall, the most
that's him
important part
describing it. That's him describing it, and I don't have the artistic vision or the mindset to do that.
this shot is gonna be, you know, the effects animation, like the dust and like the impacts right here have to go crazy. So I just went ahead and got right into it. I'm once again doing this cut in one.
Each time I see him draw Escanor's mustache, I laugh.
Fast attacks.
I don't know
like
why.
I mentioned before, I wanted him to move back and forth
need a
instead of
stash like
striking from
Escanor's.
just one position. So I duplicated Escanor and flipped him horizontally on some frames, which is gonna give the illusion of fast movement that I wanted. If this were a professional cut for an official show, I wouldn't have done it this way. This was pretty lazy on my part, I'm not gonna lie.
But the thing is, it's not like you're doing it for a studio. You're doing it just for, you know, our entertainment. I guarantee you 99.9% of us are not gonna, I can't say not care, but we're not gonna be like, oh my God, there's no way you did it this way. You didn't draw by hand. Like, bro, you're good. All right. It's a YouTube video. It's not an official project. You're fine.
But I was pretty drained up at this point, so please cut me some slack. I also added some smears to make the overall cut look smoother. Then I animated the smoke and the slashes. And even though I cut some corners during the process of animating this cut, it still gets the job done pretty well. Moving on to cut 12.
Yeah,
This
looks
is a quick
nice.
shot of Escanor getting kicked in the face by Meliodas after all of his relentless strikes were totally useless. This cut was actually really easy to make. It was just one frame
Which I
of
think is
Escanor's
crazy. There's
face
no
and a
way you should
smear
get
of
beat up by
Meliodas'
Escanor's
leg,
block
which
off.
really just is a black blob. And
completely
then a
useless.
couple of frames of Escanor's muscular neck and
BS.
chest slowly falling back. I then moved on to cut 13, which in terms of difficulty is in stark contrast to the previous cut. My idea for this cut is that it's gonna start off
I could already tell by the way I said it in storyboarding that I knew this one was going to be like extremely tough to draw. because there's just so much happening in it.
With the camera slowly panning up with both of their hair waving, then it's gonna turn into a rotation shot where Meliodas strikes Escanor. I started by doing a rough animation to map out how I wanted the camera movement to flow. After that, I did another pass where I drew Meliodas with more detail, focusing on his face, body, and all that good stuff. Then I moved on to the shower over here, and after drawing a few frames, a tear legit ran down my face because I absolutely hated how it looked. The frames had so many inconsistencies, the anatomy was super off, and his face looked dumb as fuck and had so many inconsistencies. Wait. The anatomy.
Look at the way his body is shaped, like is contorted. Of course, it's gonna be difficult as hell to draw this. Like, there's no way that you can do this with, you know, like what am I trying to say? There's no way for him to do this easily the first time. You're never gonna like doing stuff like this the first time. It's gonna always be a headache.
And his face looked dumb as fuck in some drawings. Even though I didn't want to, for my own sanity, I took a long needed break for an entire day to rest my mind and come back stronger than before.
We love some mental and self-care team. We love it. Well-deserved break.
No joke, I'm actually at a point where I can't draw a single line because I'm just so totally done. Like, I'm so blocked. I can't do anything. So I think it's more productive for me to take a long break and then I can come back whenever I'm feeling better because I feel like I'm gonna mess it up.
After taking a much needed break, I got back to it. I redrew every single frame, adjusted the timing to make the animation look smoother, and even added some more frames. I was struggling to keep the hair consistent across the frame, so I grabbed one of my previous frames from a different cut and numbered the hair strands, so that when I was drawing Meliodas' hair, I could just count how many hair strands he has, which was gonna help me draw his hair more consistently.
That's actually
references
genius.
For the anatomy, the manga panel, and previous frames up on other monitors to be able to keep the cut consistent. I even added a tiny bit of slow motion follow through for extra polish. For lack of better words, this was a fuck ton of work, but
yo, you can tell by the way that man, whenever he took that break and came back, you can see the complete difference in the work. You could also see how much he decided to start cooking. Oh my God, it looks amazing.
Pushed through the mental anguish, blood, sweat, and even tears, and finally wrapped up this entire cut. Man,
the NFL season is here.
And I think he's doing all this
Sunday ticket and
just because of passion. I mean, of course, he's still getting paid for it.
That was actually going to be the most difficult one, so I'm really glad I got that out the way. Now, everything else should be...
Let me know. I'm telling you right now, bro. You see this right here? That check?
Easier.
That boy's about to get that bread.
I then moved on to cut 14, which is pretty much just Meliodas falling, serving as a transition to the next cut, where he legit turns into a tornado. This cut wasn't too hard. It was actually pretty straightforward. In order to transition him...
I know I said we're not going to watch the whole video because I don't want to watch the actual fight itself. I was more interested in this part right here. I'll watch a little bit of the fight and then I'll leave the rest for you guys to go watch it.
I did a frame where his face is super smeared, followed by a couple of frames that are going to transform him into this tornado of slashes. Cut 15 is up next. I decided to stick with a manga layout yet again because it really captures the intensity of the scene, unlike the anime. I wanted to emphasize the
each time I see the damn anime pop up compared to his, bro, I laugh. That shit is not good, especially compared to the manga as well.
Again, because it really captures the intensity of the scene, unlike the anime.
Look at this bullshit.
I wanted to emphasize the sheer speed of Meliodas spinning while showing Escanor struggle to hold him off.
Something good about
Escanor struggling to keep up, moving his axe back and forth. Meliodas was animated in ones to showcase his speed. Later on in After Effects, I'll add some directional blur to Meliodas to make it look even better. After that, I colored it in, added the shading, and moved on to the final animation cut 16. This cut looks hilarious in the anime. I'm not really...
that is the most... those frames right there, or cut, whatever you want to call it, that section is hands down what made nobody want to mess with this season anymore. That was the nail in the coffin. That was it. All right, nobody wants to watch the show after that.
Really quite sure how this ended up happening, but either way...
That and Meliodas getting up off of the table looking like he has some titties.
I think a cut like this should happen pretty quickly, so I'm going to start it off with Meliodas still being a tornado, in which I'm just going to reuse the animation from the previous cut, because there really is no point in doing all that again. I already did it. So I just got straight to animating Escanor up until Meliodas breaks out of the tornado and launches him off. I thought this frame came out really nice, and it kind of sucked because it's only going to be shown for like a millisecond in the final product. So I'll just leave it up on the screen so that we can appreciate it together. By the way, if you've made it this far, comment something like pink horse in the comment section.
You know what? Make sure y'all go comment pink horse on this video. Make sure this man gets all the views. But secondly, I love how this man is like, yo, I ain't about to spend all this time animating and drawing. Bro, we ought to look at this for a millisecond. Y'all about to appreciate this damn art. It's so good.
So that all the fake
I love
frauds
this
that
guy,
skip to
bro.
the end of the video to watch the animation could be extremely confused. I finished up this cut by adding a couple of frames of this white transparent this white transparent
Okay.
shockwave to showcase speed. And just like that, I finished the animation after 3 weeks of work. Now I gotta do all the backgrounds, the compositing, audio.
Let's say, yeah, don't think just because he's done animating and drawing itself that it's over with. There's still way more. There's still way
Putting
more.
everything together.
Actually, to be honest, it's probably going to take just about as long or maybe even longer than everything else. Well, I know there's more programs to help with like doing backgrounds and all that, but I don't know if he's in the camp of using AI for all that type of stuff or not. I think personally, if it's just purely background stuff and it's like a personal project, I think AI is fine. If you're doing it for if it's like an animation studio though, no. Unless it's your people drawing it and then they use that AI. If it's your drawings and then they use the AI, that's completely fine because it's not like it's copying somebody else.
Okay, so it's time to check out the background my friend made for me in Blender. Ooh, nice. I like the crater. The crater looks sick. Chat, did he cook? My idea for the backgrounds is to sort of draw over the
My brothers and sisters in Christ. I cannot use Blender to save my life. I used it one time to try to make an intro back in like 2015 on a laptop that might have ran Blender like 15 frames. I made the intro. I was so excited. I walked around the school showing it to my friends like all day. But I definitely can't use Blender now. I'm just not built for this.
References and
So anybody that can use Blender,
to my liking.
you got my
I quickly
respect.
painted up the backgrounds with a pencil outline look. For now, I'm gonna leave the cube looking pretty raw looking so that when I put it into After Effects, I can add some special effects that's gonna make it look better. These are the background assets that I cooked up. And before moving on to the compositing, I quickly had to animate the smoke effect that's gonna disappear after Escanor's first strike on Meliodas. The next step is compositing.
Yo, that was fire. That was fire. You see, he's using things in the fight that he's animating for transitions. If you didn't notice that smoke right there was part of what he just animated, bro. That's clean.
Genuinely at a point where my sanity was slipping out of my cute little hands, so I took a nice little nature break to gather my thoughts and creative juices back inside me. Pause. All right, enough of that. Let's lock in.
The grilled
All right,
cheese
bro.
steak burger is back
Okay,
at
bro.
Freddy's. Our
I let it
famous
slide the
grilled steak
first
burger
time.
and buttery Texas
I'm not
toast.
letting it slide twice,
First
bro.
up, to keep the shots consistent in appearance and to add depth to the characters, I used the OLM Color Key plugin to mask out specific colors and then applied an inner shadow layer style to add some extra dimension
He's losing me now. I don't know what any of this means. I was able to keep up at first. Now I'm lost.
to the characters. Finally, I added a purple rim light to give the characters an extra that ends up giving it a more polished look. Next, I used the turbulent displace effect on the two
I'm not judging the art or anything. Oh no, I was looking at Meliodas and I'm thinking like, damn, this is some shit Lil Uzi will wear.
an extra that ends up giving it a more polished look. Next, I used the
I swear
turbulent
about
displace
life.
effect on the 2D cube I made from the 3D reference my friend sent me. This added some subtle movement to the cube, making it feel more dynamic. After that, I pre-composed the cube and added a glow effect on it, making it stand out from the rest of the background. I imported some 2D clouds I had made earlier, then adjusted the positioning of the
Okay.
clouds to create the...
Hold on. I wanted to see.
I pre-composed the cube and
Okay, so I see.
added a
I see.
glow effect on it, making it stand out from the rest of the background. I imported some 2D clouds I had made earlier, then adjusted the positioning of the clouds to create the illusion of wind moving them, adding some extra movement to the scene. In some of these cuts, I added a flare to Escanor's axe and added some
Yeah, I
camera
see.
shake during the impact moments to increase the intensity of the shot. For example, in this cut, I added a flare inside of the cube and added a shake effect to show the impact from Escanor's strike. As the scene progressed,
Okay.
I gradually
You see, look. Now, since we're going back to like the regular editing stuff, now I can understand what's going on. All right. And so far, every single one of these little additions he's making are actually making a huge difference. Like if you noticed when Escanor actually hit him with the axe, when there was no like shaking, like camera shake, it looked like there was no impact. Like yeah, there was smoke, but it doesn't look like anything happened. But
reduce
once
the
he
scale
added
of the
that
optical flare,
camera shake,
create
it
a
looked like there was some
seamless
actual
transition
oomph
into the
behind
next
it.
cut. For the cut with the fast strikes, I used the OLM Color Key plugin again, this time grabbing the lighter brown color and adding a glow to it, highlighting Escanor's strikes even further. For the rotation shot, I messed around with the screenshot of the CG background and tried to keyframe it so that it looks as if the camera is rotating. Then I added one of the background drawings I had done to make the overall shot look nicer. On impact, I added yet another lens flare. I just really love how these look, if you couldn't tell already. For this cut, I selected the white color with with OLM color key and gave it a nice glow effect. Then I added directional blur to Meliodas cosplaying as the tornado. I found the speedline overlay on YouTube. I added it onto the composition and it ends up working really well.
Yeah,
really
that looks real nice
together. For the final cut, I added in tornado Meliodas from the previous cut and added a camera shake on impact. After I was done with After Effects, I dragged the entire project into DaVinci Resolve for color correction, which honestly took a lot longer to get down than I expected. Ultimately, the
that's beautiful.
for color correction, which honestly took a lot.
Let's say, for one, that already looks amazing right there.
Longer to get.
But this background right here with the color correction, that boy was cooking right there.
Down than I expected. Ultimately, the goal is to try to make everything look as consistent as possible. It was actually really hard to get down in some cuts due to the change in brightness and other factors, which was extremely frustrating. But either way,
once again, like I said, you would think you have everything done, then you go back and you look. He had pretty much everything done. Then he went back and looked after he did the color correction. Everything was completely off.
Thankfully, the visuals for this project were finally finished. And now the final step to finishing my reanimation is the audio. So I started by downloading the original episode and separating the stems to isolate the characters' voices.
Which I don't think people understand. This shit right here is actually some of the most annoying work you can do. Oh my God.
Unfortunately, because of the loud background music and other voices mixed in, the quality of the isolated vocals was not great. I ran their voices through voice isolators, compressors, and a bunch of other plugins
so much you can
to
do,
try to
man.
improve the sound, but honestly, the result still wasn't the best. I wasn't gonna trip too hard about this though, because there's really not much I could do about it. I then found the original soundtrack of the fight scene on YouTube. I downloaded it and imported it into the project. After that, I added my own whooshes, explosion sound effects, and all that good stuff. I did end up using the stored sound effects from the anime and also threw in the Cube Spark hit sound effect for this cut because I quite frankly couldn't find anything similar anywhere else.
That also makes sense. Like, why would you go out of your way to try to find something, you know, different when you have it right here?
Actually never fails to amaze me just how much sound design could elevate any project. It is truly
sound design is the most underrated aspect of all like visual media, okay? Or like, I guess yeah, visual media. I wouldn't really count like manga as visual media. Would you? Well, you know what I mean though, like TV, anime, movies, sports, whatever. If you don't have proper sound design, it's botched.
Insane. After 3 to 4 weeks of work, I finished this project. Honestly, I probably learned a lot more about myself than about animating during this process. Surprisingly, a lot more than when I worked like a MAPPA animator for 72 hours. 7 days video is coming soon, by the way. I pushed myself a ton and discovered that I had a lot more discipline than I previously thought I did. I went out of my comfort zone and tried a lot of different stuff I hadn't done before.
You gotta
and
try to
most
lock into
importantly,
it.
I made something I'm proud of. I know it's not perfect, and regardless of all the struggles I faced, I'm glad I made it. So make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow
only 30K at the time. He's at 44 now.
my Twitter and my
That's what good
Instagram.
work
I also
does.
have a Patreon if you guys want to further support me. Thank you guys for all the support. I'm going to keep doing my best and I'm going to keep working harder than ever. All right, guys.
Yes,
this is the final product. Enjoy.
Yes, King. Well, we're going to watch about 10 seconds of this fight. After that, you guys got to go watch it on your own. We ain't about to expose this man hard work. It's so good. It looks so good. You can even hear the crunching sound. All right, that's it. That's it. The rest you gotta go watch on your own. I can't show any more. All right, you gotta go watch the rest on your own. But if you enjoyed today's video, make sure you leave a like, subscribe. You know what I'm saying? I really appreciate it if you do. Yeah, and shout out to this man right here. This is ridiculous. I'm definitely about to watch the rest of this fight moment I cut this video off. But yeah, it's Big Boy Bill. I love y'all. I'll see you in the next one. Deuces.